Sup, amiga? I'm Leon, the Paperback Maniac, cruising by on a beautiful, sunny summer day in early July with a breezy, laid-back vintage horror haul. I've got some amazing acts to show you here today, and you definitely want to stick around till the end because I'm going to cap it all off by showing the complete set of a pretty obscure supernatural occult horror series from the 80s. Real treat, so definitely want to see what that's all about. But without further blather, let's get right to it. So because we are smack dab in the middle of summer, I thought I'd start with a couple of summary books. So the first one we're taking a look at is Blood Summer by Louise Cooper. And this book was published by New English Library in 1976. Has that characteristically amazing British artwork, especially that awesome stuff that they were doing in the 70s and early 80s. Absolutely love it. This was one that was unfamiliar to me, but was really happy to kind of come across it. You got some cool ads there on the back for other 70s British horror novels. So yeah, that one looks fun. Okay, and then another kind of summer type book we've got is Demon Fire by Gary L. Holloman. And this book was published by Leisure in 1995. I love that tagline, "Aloha, welcome to hell." And the cover is really, really cool. This is a Hawaiian set horror. Hawaiian set kind of like occulty horror. Really, really fun sounding. I love how the back is designed like a postcard. Look at that stamp. That's amazing. And this postcard is really fun. This is really clever. I'll read this. It says, "Come to Hawaii and sample the tropical tortures and delights. Aloha from Hawaii. The islands are great, but who'd have ever thought this tropical paradise was full of ancient gods, witches, and demons straight from hell? We're enjoying the sand, the sun, and the surf, but having evil spirits around can be murder. Dying to come home, glad you aren't here." Yeah, that sounds really fun. This almost seems like a book that would have been perfect for Satanic Summer, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit this one in this year. Maybe next time. All right. Next up, we've got Night Prophets by F. Paul Wilson. This book was published by Onyx in 1989. Just when I thought I had every single Onyx horror title from the late 80s, I came across one that I didn't have, and that's always a joy. I am a huge fan of this imprint, and I have not read any F. Paul Wilson, so this might be a good one to start with. I actually have another F. Paul Wilson book, which I'll show in this haul. I should have put those together, but oh well. Okay, next we have a few John Russo books. I'm currently reading a John Russo book right now. I'm almost done with it. I'm loving it. You'll see a review for that pretty soon. The first one is Inhuman. This was published by Pocket. I believe these were all published by Pocket. Yes, this one came out in 1986. Always been a fan of this cover. Very, very alluring. Dig that. So I thought I would give this one a shot. Okay, the next one is Black Cat. This one was also published by Pocket, and it came out in 1982. Classic claws clawing through something. Just can't go wrong with that, right? Okay. And then another one here by Mr. Russo. We've got Blood Sisters. This one also was published by Pocket in 1982, and that's kind of intriguing. This is one that I actually hadn't seen online. The other ones are pretty commonly seen. That looks pretty cool. And then the last one may be my favorite cover. Here we have Limb to Limb, and this one was published by Pocket in 1981. And according to that signature there, this artwork is by the amazing Lisa Falkenstern, who is responsible for some of the best cover art of the 80s. And this one is no exception. Just look at that. It's just absolutely incredible. Really, really intrigued and looking forward to reading this one. John Russo is a great writer, and as I said, I'm finishing up a book of his for Satanic Summer. You should be seeing a review of that pretty soon. All right, next up, I am super pumped about this book. This is pretty rare and pretty valuable these days. This book is called Isabel, and it's written by Jane Parkhurst. This was published by Jove in 1977. It's based on a true story, believe it or not. And I mean, first of all, just take a moment. Low power mode. That's what happens when you use your phone to record videos. Just take a look at that cover. Just feast your eyes on that amazing artwork. And then look at the step back cover art there. Absolutely incredible. That is just a sight to behold, right? So cool. And I have to give a shout out here. I found out about this book because I recently discovered a YouTube channel, a book channel, and I do say YouTube, not BookTube, because this guy is like as far removed from civilized BookTube as Sean Hudson is from like the Man Booker Prize jury panel. But this YouTube channel, this dude's name, Wolfcock Ramirez, and he has a channel where he, much like mine, discusses these old vintage horror paperbacks. And very knowledgeable dude. I think he's from Australia. He's the one that showed this book, and he really raved about it. I think he and his girlfriend both talked it up a lot, and that's what caused me to kind of seek it out. It is pretty expensive. I think it goes for like crazy money on Amazon. I was lucky to find a decently priced copy on eBay, but yeah, and actually, I do recommend that you guys check out Wolfcock Ramirez. Give him some love. He definitely deserves way more subscribers. He showed actually, there's a couple other books on here. Actually, the next couple also that I was not aware of. A lot of these UK books that, we don't see so often here in North America. But yeah, check out Wolfcock Ramirez. Subscribe to his channel. And I am so happy that I discovered this book because of him. So thanks, dude. Okay, so another one that Wolfcock talked about is The Offering by Gerald Suster. This is a Hamlin title, and if you've seen any of my UK collection videos, you know that I'm a huge fan of Hamlin and that kind of early 80s British horror. This one was published in 1982 and looks pretty cool. And then, just being in the glow of discovering a new UK author I wasn't aware of, I tripled down because I'm a fucking maniac, and got a couple others by this dude, Mr. Suster. We've got The Elect. This one was published by Sphere in 1980, and that's a pretty intriguing cover there. This would also be a pretty good, I think, kind of like. Or no, not this one. The next one would be, I think, a good Satanic Summer type read. The final one I got from Gerald Suster is The Scar. And this one was published by Hamlin as well in 1981. And this seems like a good, satanic, occult type novel. Seems like fun stuff. Okay. Coming back over the pond for things that may be more familiar to people, at least in the States, here we've got Abracadabra by Stephen Gresham. This was published by Zebra in 1988, one of the most, popular Zebra covers. I do dig that cover. I was never really seeking this book out. I think I do have some other Stephen Gresham titles in my collection, but I saw this one in the shop. It was $2.50. Couldn't pass it up. I'm not really sure, what the quality of the writings is here. But, yeah, I thought, why not, All right, next up is a book that was totally new to me, but I was really happy to discover. This is Cold Eye. It was written by Giles Blunt, and it was published by Avon in 1990. And this one seems kind of like a horror hybrid. On the back, there's a quote from the San Diego Union. It says, "A chilling blend of the horror and detective story." So that sounds intriguing. So I thought, yeah, why not why not check that out? I do like my Avon titles. And then when I was at the store, I had to pick this up. This is another copy of White Spider by Joyce Wolf. I, not too long ago, showed a copy of the reprint of this from the early 90s. This is the original printing from Leisure that came out in 1987. It has the embossed lettering for the title, and the title is in green and gold. Yeah, this is actually much nicer. I thought maybe the reprint was better at first because of the green title, but this is just awesome. And when I saw it in such good condition for, again, like $2 or $3, I said, why not? I love this era of Leisure, just that over-the-top, insane, supernatural, crazy horror. So I figured I'd give it a shot. All right, next up, we've got a book by Mr. Dean Koontz. Here we have Tock. And this one was published by Ballantine in 1997, this edition. I think it first came out in 1996. This is a book that I have heard really good things about, actually. My girlfriend read this, and she said it was super fun. And if you read the premise, it just sounds like a blast. It sounds like a breezy, fun summer read, the kind of thing you'll read on the beach or, at a pool. And when I picked this book up off the shelf in the bookstore, oftentimes what I like to do is just read the first couple of pages just to get a sense of the tone of the book, and it kind of cracked me up. So when this book opens, it concerns a best-selling novelist who lives in Southern California, and in the opening scene, he goes and buys himself a new Corvette. He buys this beautiful aqua Corvette, and the first thing he does when he drives it off the lot is he heads west to the famous Pacific Coast Highway and then starts driving south. And, he puts the top down, and it's just this gorgeous, Southern California day. He's driving south through Orange County. He goes past Newport Beach and Laguna Beach. And the whole time I was reading this, I just kept imagining that was totally Dean Koontz. I'm sure he himself has done this at one point as a, rich, successful novelist. He probably went, bought himself a nice Corvette or some car, took the top down. The first thing he did was went down Pacific Coast Highway, just enjoying that sun on his face, kicking his head back, laughing at the absurdity of how amazing his life is and how much better his life is than everyone else's. I just totally pictured Dean Koontz doing that. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, this book does sound like a lot of fun, really fast paced and kind of funny from what I've heard. So yeah, looking forward to checking this out. Definitely feels like a summer read to me. All right, now going back over the pond, back to the UK. Next up, we've got Bedlam by Harry Adam Knight, or Hack, as his initials spell. And this book was published by Victor Gollancz, which is a UK publisher, I imagine, in 1993. Looks like it was first published in 1992. Love the blurb there, splendidly splatterful. That's got my attention. And yeah, this sounds awesome. I am a huge fan of the Harry Adam Knight. I loved The Fungus. This guy's also written the original novel Carnosaur, which was the basis for that Roger Corman movie. Total B movie type books, but really good. He's a good writer, and he's not afraid to go over the top, as those Brits usually were not afraid to do that. So yeah, this seems like a lot of fun. And I was not familiar actually with Bedlam. I didn't know that he was publishing horror into the 90s. So that's pretty cool. All right, another Brit here. We've got Graham Masterton, and this is The Pariah. This book, this edition, this is the original Star edition from the UK. Came out in 1983. This was subsequently put out in the US by Tor, I believe, but the UK edition I think is much cooler, as is often the case. I mean, just look at that. That is super cool. Graham Masterton is another one of these UK horror writers that I really like. If you guys haven't read The Manitou, definitely check that one out. And then this is the writer that I was confusing Guy Smith with. In a previous video, I said that Guy Smith had set one of his novels in the U.S. And that's not true. I don't think Guy N. Smith set any of his novels in the U.S., but Graham Masterton set a lot of his novels in the U.S. I think he might have even expatriated and moved to the U.S. because like a lot of his books are set here, even though he is British. But yeah, this one looks like a lot of fun. All right, next up, we've got a book called Eye of the Demon, and this was written by Camille Bacon Smith, and it was published by Daw in 1996. Pretty cool cover. It reminds me of the VHS cover of Black Roses, that horror movie. But this is apparently like kind of fantasy horror, and a little more leaning on the fantasy elements, but seems really cool. So yeah, definitely thought I would check that out. All right, next up, we've got Death Angel by J.N. Williamson. This book was published by Zebra in 1981. Say what you will about Jerry Williamson's writing, you just cannot deny that his covers, particularly his Zebra covers, were some of the very best of the 1980s. And I made a whole collection, a whole video of my J.N. Williamson collection. If you haven't seen that, take a look because he does have some amazing covers, and I do like to collect his books, and I will read all the books too eventually. They seem fun, flawed, very flawed, but fun. All right, and then okay, the last book before we get to the series. This is the other F. Paul Wilson book I mentioned. Here we have Sibs. Book that I had never heard of before I saw it on the bookshelf. This was published by Tor in 1994, this paperback edition. It looks like it first came out in hardcover in 1991. And this one, yeah, definitely sounds intriguing. Seems like an interesting book. And yeah, I was willing to give it a shot when I saw it there on the bookstore rack. So very cool. Those are the kind of discoveries I like to make. Okay, and then finally, here we have the full set of this series from the early to mid-'80s. It is called the Night Hunter series, and it was written by a dude named, what was his name? Well, Robert Falcon, but that was actually a pen name for the fantasy writer Robert Holdstock, all right? So we'll start with book number 1 of the Night Hunter series. This is The Stalking. And all these books were put out by Arrow, the British company. This one came out in 1983. And just look at that amazing artwork. By the way, this whole series was also put out in the U.S. by Charter Books. But as is usually the case, the UK covers are just way better. So here's number 1, The Stalking. Absolutely love that cover. And then Night Hunter book 2, we have The Talisman. This one was also put out in 1983 from Arrow. And another really cool cover. And then we've got Night Hunter book number 3. This is The Ghost Dance. This one also was put out by Arrow in 1983. Really cool cover there. So you love that. Can you guys hear that bird cawing outside my window? All right. Book number 4 in the Night Hunter series, we have The Shrine. And this one was published by Arrow in 1984. Another just super awesome cover. These covers just really stood out to me. Really intrigued by them. I love that. Okay, and then Night Hunter number 5. Here we have The Hexing. And this one was published by Arrow in 1984 as well. Super cool. And then the last one We have Night Hunter number 6, The Labyrinth. And this one came out a little later in 1987. And you could tell that they just like stopped trying at this point. Like, what the hell is that shit? Like, compared to the other ones, like they just like didn't even care anymore. And apparently the author like won a World Fantasy Award in the interim because now they just like straight up like attribute the actual artist on the book, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that is book number 6, The Labyrinth. But I'm super pumped for that series. Looks like a lot of fun. More just awesome 80s UK horror. I always, really get into that stuff. So that, guys, is my Breezy Midsummer Horror Haul. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you guys found some stuff that you haven't seen before. If you have seen any of these books, if you've read any of these books especially, drop a line, let me know what I'm in for. And thank you for watching. I always appreciate it. As I said, be on the lookout for another book review coming up pretty soon in the Satanic Summer series. Until next time, guys, peace out.